I'm no life coach, but I will say, if you took the TV out of your bathroom, it probably wouldn't take you hours to get ready. Just a thought. Just a thought. However, you do you, girl. I'm with you. That sounds pretty epic. Shelves or drapes themselves are actually considered personal property because they're easily removable. Same thing too. If you think about art on a wall, the art is not attached to the wall typically, right? It's just sitting on a nail. And so art would remain as personal property. Now, if it was in a theater room and it was like drilled into the wall and it's not coming out, might it then be considered a fixture? Sure. But as real estate brokers, we would always want to have this conversation because we never want to leave anything up to a might, a maybe, a perhaps. It's just not a good idea. How about one more?
Will be considered personal property. The TV wouldn't. It'd be a personal. It looks like it's detachable. But those cabinets look like the ones that are screwed into the wall. They look like real property.
Yeah, if we were to break this down, the couches, the coffee table, the rug, all that's personal property. Those bowls, those books, personal property. But when you start getting things attached to the walls, like if those are cabinets to the right of those shelves and they're bolted into the wall, that's real property. Those shelves are real property. Those light fixtures are real property. The thing that the entertainment center that the TV is on doesn't seem to be bolted, so I'd consider that personal property, unless it was bolted to the wall. TV would be personal property. These blinds over here that look like some pretty serious blinds as part of like a door, probably going to be considered real property. Those curtains themselves, it just depends. It's hard to see how that's done. If that's a standard curtain rod just behind that decorative piece, the curtains themselves are personal property, but the curtain rod is real property.
So if the blinds are able to be removed, would they be personal property? Even though I don't know how to install blinds.
Yeah, no, blinds are typically considered real property.
Real property.
Yeah, because here's the thing. And at the end of the day, don't leave anything up to chance. When you bolt blinds up and then you install them into a bracket and then it kind of seals the bracket, they're kind of attached. Yeah. Let's say who's unmuted, so I'm like hearing myself on loop. Yeah, you know who you are. I see you. One other thing to note, mailboxes. Mailboxes, 99.9% of the time, doesn't matter if they're customized, specialized, or whatever, they are considered real property. If you have a mailbox made that's like, I don't know, a dolphin. You ever seen those crazy ones? Like somebody's got like a dolphin or like a tractor or like a special mailbox. It's considered real property unless you sever it. Most mailboxes are either attached onto the wall like that or bolted into the ground, cemented into the ground, installed in the ground. They're considered fixtures. Mailboxes, no matter how custom they are considered fixtures. Marcus says, what if they are electric blinds? I would consider electric blinds probably a fixture. But here's the thing, folks. In our industry, it's real easy to say that it's not, right? Just because it's a fixture by definition, if you say, I don't want to leave this, it's not complicated. Annexation and severance sounds really complicated. It's verbiage. All you have to put is in a sales contract, this is not conveying. All parties sign it, it's been severed. You're allowed to take it down. That's it. That's simple. Now here's the thing though. Think of being a buyer's agent. If you were representing a buyer in a real estate transaction and the seller says, I do not want to leave this really pretty chandelier that I bought in Europe. Well, what are you probably going to say as a buyer's agent?
I'm going to do my best to try to keep it for the buyer.
Well, maybe, Jeremy. But sometimes you just have to go with it for negotiations. But if they take it, what are you going to tell them?
What are you going to replace it with?
There you go. I don't want exposed wires in the ceiling. It's great that you have a sentimental attachment to your chandelier. How about this, Home Slice? You go on down to Home Depot and you pick me up model number PXYY27 and you install that sucker before closing, and I will be happy as a clam. Okay? Don't leave me exposed wires. I want to move in and rest. I don't want no projects when I move into this sucker. Tell them to put something else in its place. Now, there's a couple things that are just really funny categories, and yet again, we've just kind of identified them, and we'll talk about that more when we get into that list. But things like TV mounts. TV mounts, we can all agree if you've ever installed one of those son-of-a-guns, are bolted into the wall, typically with some crazy lag bolts. I mean, we're talking like 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, like big old toothy bolts that go right into the studs. That sucker's not coming down. Most TV mounts are considered real property. TVs, however, because they're just attached to that mount, are considered personal property. Let me tell you though, if you want to take your TV mount, you can sever it. But given the cost of TV mounts, I'd say it is in your best interest to leave it. Because if you remove it, just like that chandelier, what do you think they're going to ask for? You think they're going to be okay with 4 giant, unsightly holes gouged out of your drywall? No. I say fix it.
I have a quick question.
What you got?
So, I just built my house last year, and now say if I was getting ready to, I want to sell my house or whatever. In my bathroom, I mounted a 50-inch TV in my bathroom. It's not typical for people to have TVs in the bathroom. So in that case, would I remove the mount as well and patch up the holes and put the rod back over the tub? Or whoever comes see it and be like, you know what, I would have never thought of putting a TV in my bathroom, keep it.
That's a good question, and it's entirely up to you. Do you lay in the bathtub and just watch TV? Is that what you do?
Well, no, I spend most of my time in the bathroom, so instead of like having the TV on in the room and trying to listen to what's going on, I installed a pretty nice sized TV in the bathroom, and it hangs over the tub. So in my shower is a glass shower like that picture, so I can see it. So like when football's on, I don't have to like, oh man, what happened? It's right there. I don't have to leave.
Jess, I'm not trying to get into your personal life, but when you say you spend most of your time in the bathroom.
Yeah, like when it takes me hours to get ready to go somewhere, but I like watching TV, or I like watching the news in the morning getting ready for work. So instead of having it in my room and I have to have the volume up on 50, I just said, I looked at the wall and I was like, well, this wall is big, but it's plain.
Yeah.
And I don't want a picture there, so I was like, it probably would be dope to put a TV there. And
Yeah.
I thought about it and called a TV mounting place.
And they put it in,
They
yeah.
never did it, but they did it.
Now, Justin, I'm no life coach, but I will say, if you took the TV out of your bathroom, it probably wouldn't take you hours to get ready. Just a thought. Just a thought. However, you do you, girl. I'm with you. That sounds pretty epic. To answer your question, though, it's entirely up to you. Because what would most likely happen if I was your agent and I was selling your home, I would look at it and I would say, would the general consumer be interested in this? And if not, I'm going to say, let's take it down, patch it up, and fix it and make it look normal. However, if it looks pretty epic and I thought there'd be a market for it, we would just put it in what's called the agent remarks. As a real estate broker, I would just say, hey, there's this really cool TV in the bathroom. It's negotiable. If you want it, we might leave it for the right price. And if you don't, we'll patch it if you ask us to for the right price. Right? And you would just make that statement. Because here's the thing, folks. When I'm telling you rules, here's what you have to understand about real estate. Everything is negotiable. Everything. Do you know that people ask for other people's dogs in real estate transactions? And sometimes it happens. Yeah, Rosanna, it does. It happens. Do you know that people get lawnmowers and cars and patio furniture? Do you know that people get to keep living in their house after they've sold it to somebody else? There is a million different things that happen. Everything is negotiable in real estate. Everything. All it takes is agreement.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
What about a TV that has been
Woohoo.
That be considered real property, considering it's changed the foundation of that wall?
Yeah, if it's not something that can just pop out, if it's built in, if it's framed around, if it's kind of covered up on the edges and it's not just coming out, I would say it's probably a fixture. You're not taking that. Yeah. Yeah. So let's keep going with this concept of fixtures, and we're coming up on another break, about 20 minutes. Let's keep going with this concept of fixtures. So I'm telling you what a fixture is. It's part of real property, and you're getting it, and you're feeling good about it. Now here's where I'm going to throw you a curveball. Because a fixture is, let me go back. A fixture is what? It's considered a part of what?
The property.
Real property. That's exactly right. Now a trade fixture, when you hear the word trade fixture, you got to think commercial. Because most of what we've looked at thus far is residential. If we're talking about a trade fixture, it is different. So this is your first curveball. There's a lot of curveballs, but this is your first one. A trade fixture is actually considered personal property. Let me give you an example of a trade fixture. If you were to lease a building to open a restaurant, and you bought the refrigerator, you bought the prep tables, you bought the coolers, you bought the beer cooler, and you installed all that into this restaurant that you were leasing, this building you were leasing and turned into a restaurant. Well, those are all considered trade fixtures. They're your personal property as the tenant for a commercial purpose. Because you don't own the real property, and so your intention was never to add them in. So a trade fixture is a special category of equipment that you would personally buy and attach for commercial. They stay personal property. What you got, Shoshana?
So is that basically, when you say trade fixtures, how people do Airbnbs, how they would, let's say an apartment complex, and they buy the couches, the beds, and everything in it, decorate and make it nice. So would that be considered a trade fixture?
In theory, it could. What you're talking about is called that rental arbitrage, where you're renting and then you're subletting with a commercial lease. And so you buy things and you attach it in there with the intention that all that stuff in there is yours. And it would be the same concept. That's kind of a new age concept of a trade fixture, but it would fall into the category. Yeah. Because it was all your personal property. You intended to take it. Yet again, that goes back to Irma, right? You as the lessor would intend to take that stuff as you left, right? You didn't intend to leave it. So a trade fixture is also sometimes called a chattel fixture. What did I say chattel was?
Personal property.
Movable personal property. This kind of helps you understand, right? A trade fixture, also called a chattel fixture. So it's kind of oxymoronic because chattel is personal property and a fixture is part of real property. So it's just a special category to make sure you understand it. Ceci, you got something?
Yes. So a trade fixture wouldn't be like, say, I'm leasing this place to be a pizza place, and they install like an oven, but it's not like a regular oven that you can leave. It's just like a brick oven. That wouldn't be a trade fixture, or it would still be. So a brick.
Here's the thing, Ceci. That's a good question. If you install it personally, remember what I told you. This is a rule that if you don't address it any other way, stands. But everything is negotiable. Would it be practical to install a brick oven that's not coming out of there and intend to take it with you when you go? No. Now, if you don't remove these things by the end of your tenancy or, with special agreement, would they become possession of the landlord owner by way of accession? Sure they would. But everything is negotiable. Let me give you another example. Could you potentially upfit your own restaurant, do a 10-year lease, and then you and your landlord negotiate that you'll leave all your stuff so they have a restaurant upfitted, but they've given you way cheaper rent for this time because they know that they're going to get your stuff? Sure you could. Everything is negotiable. This is just saying if we ask you to classify what your refrigerators, your prep tables, your whatever for your commercial industry of a building that you put in that you are leasing, we asked for you to classify that would be a trade fixture. And a trade fixture is personal property. But you can negotiate anything.
So that oven wouldn't be a trade fixture because it's not movable.
Well, if you could remove it, it'd be a trade fixture. But if you can't remove it, then it's there's no point in calling it a trade fixture.